Good evening, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this late Thursday night. Last week, McCarthy grants access to Capitol security footage to January defendants prisoners right now in D.C. And they've yet to have trials. So this is just what yesterday the information came out. And I don't think never Trump Republicans, I know that Democrats really care. They don't care if people are languishing in DC jails, or a DC jail or prison because they want political retribution, they just don't care. I'm not equating the underlying causes of why there was mayhem and chaos. But that summer, prior to January, there was $1 to $2 billion in property damage, according to Wikipedia. I support why people demonstrated peacefully that summer, I support the cause. But no cause is worth $1 to $2 billion in property damage, and 19 lives lost and 14,000 arrests. And you had damage to government buildings as well, federal buildings as well, and police departments. Not a word from Kinzinger or Cheney, not a word, who voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time in Congress, and then suddenly, I view him to be this menace to democracy. They did not want. You had Democrats Kinzinger and Cheney did not want the footage. The complete story out there. Okay. There's 40 plus 1,000 hours of security footage. They don't want that footage out there. Because the footage, obviously, is exculpatory. In many cases, it's exculpatory evidence. What can happen is you might get people right now languishing. There's a good number of people who are languishing right now awaiting trial, who can use this to defend themselves. You have people who had to plead guilty because they didn't have the video footage to defend themselves. Or maybe they couldn't prove without the video footage what they knew was true. So, McCarthy grants access to Capitol security footage to January defendants. That is huge. Okay. He can be free in a great many people. Folks, some people might have heard that. Well, they're not going to release the footage. They will release the footage. They're just gonna go, and the process might take a week or two longer because of security issues. That's it. So aside from the security issues, you're going to see everything that you haven't seen before. There could be footage showing that the opposite of what Democrats and Kinzinger Cheney have stated took place, the exact opposite. Perhaps you might see people coerced into going into the building, or pushed physically, or just allowed in, one person who was acquitted because they were allowed into the building. So the side that always talks about lying in, it's like, Veritas came out with a video and hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, very important. Veritas came out with a video in 2017, where a producer at CNN stated, yeah, the whole Trump-Russia thing is nonsense. He used a different word. But it's baloney, let's say. And he said, he didn't think that there was any evidence or any real evidence that Trump was the operative of any other country, but they still ran it from 2017 up to today. So tell me what the difference is when they go after Fox hosts. And they say, oh, my God, Fox lied to their viewers. CNN and MSNBC routinely lags their viewers. You think that everyone at MSNBC and CNN believe that Trump was really an operative of the Kremlin? Or that Trump's tax returns really would lead to his indictment? Or that the hush money payments were going to land him in jail, or any major obsession they had? He didn't get indicted in Georgia. Trump. He didn't get indicted in New York. He didn't get indicted for January. He didn't get indicted him during the Mueller probe. So everything that they've talked about, in one way or another, has been either a lie by omission, or sensationalized coverage full of falsehoods. And then, some significant news, Democrat Senator Chris Murphy says funding Ukraine continually will put the United States in a national security risk situation, reminds Biden that he owes it to the American people to protect them first. The FBI says they believe for months that COVID came from a lab leak in China, but says the proof that they have is classified. Elon Musk is in trouble with China, and Democrats were saying COVID was paid for by Dr. Fauci through the Eco Health Alliance. But we now know this is true. Belarusi and President Alexander Lukashenko has traveled to China to meet with President Xi Jinping to improve the two countries' relationship. Both Belarus and China are strong supporters of Russia and President Vladimir Putin. So this meeting has people at the Pentagon and the White House nervous, while the partnership could be a major threat if the war continues to escalate. As of now, China seems more motivated to achieve peace than to go to war. President Xi stated relevant countries should stop politicizing and using the world economy as their tool and take measures that truly advance a ceasefire and stop to war and resolve the crisis peacefully. Now, it does seem that they want peace. They don't want to make Vladimir Putin mad, but they don't want the situation in Ukraine to continue. But it also seems that Xi Jinping is referring to the sanctions placed upon Russia and threatened against the People's Republic of China. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has argued that Russian President Putin is not open to peace talks despite counterclaims from Russia and the Kremlin. He stated if Russia President Putin was genuinely prepared to engage in meaningful diplomacy necessary to end the aggression, of course, we'd be the first to work on that and to engage, but there is zero evidence of that. To the contrary, the evidence is all in the other direction. So he basically says Putin is lying, he doesn't really want peace, and therefore we're going to continue to send money and weapons to Ukraine. While Russia has stated they want Ukraine to give up major territories, just to start the negotiation process. Blinken critiqued the demands by stating, that's obviously a non-starter, and it should be a non-starter, not just for Ukraine or for us, but for countries around the world. However, this is typically how wars are settled. You give up something, the other side gives up something, and both go home unhappy. Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat, says the United States is reaching a point now where funding Ukraine with money and U.S. military weapons is endangering the national security of the United States and the U.S. military. He also said the federal government's first obligation is to defend our own border and our country first. Our second obligation is to defend NATO allies. Ukraine is neither a NATO ally nor a member of the European Union. So basically, he was reminding Biden, you took an oath to defend the United States, not to defend Ukraine. Now, this was shocking. Bill Gates said in an interview yesterday, when asked about how he felt about Ukraine, the host expected sympathy for the war-torn country. Instead, Bill Gates said it's the most corrupt country in Europe, maybe in the world, and he doesn't trust them. He said eventually, this war will end and he hopes Ukraine will be turned into farmland. Probably sell, he can buy it right now. One of Hunter Biden's defense attorneys has just kind of quit out of nowhere. Nobody really knows why. His only comment so far was based on what he was seeing and dealing with. He was made very uneasy. And so he quit. He walked off the case. So it does make you wonder what would make one of the top lawyers in the entire country uneasy enough to quit this case and walk off the case? Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think it was? Now, despite repeated efforts to cover up the fact that the origins of COVID most likely came out of Wuhan, China, FBI Director Christopher Wray said on a Fox News interview, the FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. While Wray referenced an official FBI assessment, he declined to give specific details of its content, as he claimed it was classified information. It's really insane to me that just a year ago, you would be called a conspiracy theorist and a crazy person for thinking this, and now even the United States government and different agencies are saying, yeah, this is most likely what happened. And we've known it for a long time. We just didn't want you to know. All right, now, Elon Musk, CEO of Twitter, and Tesla has responded to a user on Twitter who asked if Dr. Anthony Fauci funded the development of COVID. Through gain-of-function research, Musk responded saying he did it via a pass-through organization EcoHealth Alliance. Immediately after his comments, China's media mouthpiece The Global Times labeled Elon as a fringe right-wing Republican. They stated Elon has shown a tendency to endorse these right-wing conservative values. He himself seems to enjoy the feeling of being sought after by the American right-wing forces and carrying the sedan chair. Therefore, on the issue of the source of the new coronavirus, he will naturally mix with these people. So if you believe that this is a lab leak, and that the government lied to you, you're a right-wing conspiracy theorist's Republican like right away. If you have those thoughts, then you're crazy, right? Thanks, China. All right, now one of the most dangerous cities in America may be getting a second chance at safety. Disgraced Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has lost horribly in a re-election bid. Lightfoot came in third place and only gained 16% of the vote. She is now the first Chicago mayor to lose a re-election bid in 40 years, which is a good indicator of how little she was helping the city. Paul Valdes, the former CEO of Chicago's public schools, will likely become the next mayor. Valdes stated, "I haven't been this happy since my son returned from Afghanistan. We will have a safe Chicago. We will make Chicago the safest city in America. And I hope they do." Every Monday a report is put out about all of the people that are killed, many of them children, and the government does nothing about it. They just talk about gun control and Black Lives Matter. And yet they're being killed every single weekend. I read this report every single Monday, and it breaks my heart. So I'm actually very grateful that there's somebody new stepping in, who says we have got to get crime under control in Chicago. Now Lightfoot says she lost re-election because Americans in Chicago are racist and sexist. You racist, sexist, sick Chicagoans? How dare you write? Pretty weird, right? I really do hope that things in Chicago get better. Now, Biden, sticking with his own values and things that he had said publicly, has ordered 9,000 new Ford electric vehicles to be purchased for the Postal Service, and says that they will phase out all fuel cars by 2026. They're going to put in 14,000 Charger 75 will go in within the next month. But secretly, they also bought 9,000 brand new gas-powered cars. So it's a good mix, right? A little bit of both. Alright, thanks for being here folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me know down below